Good day and welcome to Crime Heart. If this is your first time viewing our channel, please hit the like button and subscribe. Today we're going to be talking about the cases of mothers who kill their own children. The technical term for mothers killing their children is maternal filicide. And the murder of an innocent child by parent in cold blood remains as one of the most shocking crimes imaginable. Here are some cases of women who chose to take their children's life due to different reasons. We're going to start off with Caterina Tirado. Caterina Tirado was charged in connection with the death of her autistic 17-year-old son.
101 emergency location.
Hi, can you send an ambulance to Street in Hartford, please?
Correct?
Sure.
Is there an apartment or floor?
Second floor.
Second?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's going on?
My 17-year-old son, I don't know what it is, but he might have gallstones because he's been vomiting for the past 24 hours. Now his belly is bulging, but he hasn't urinated anything. I mean, I used to have gallstones before, and I don't know what it feels like and how it looks like.
Okay.
He's very weak.
What's your name?
Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Which police say was the result of severe neglect. Investigators say that the teen died with broken bones, bruises, and weighed only 84 pounds. Number 2 is Melissa Drexler. The child may be unwanted as the infamous 1996 prom mom case, where Melissa Drexler gave birth in a bathroom stall at a school prom, and then disposed of the newborn in the trash and went back to the dance. Drexler, who had kept the pregnancy a secret, was convicted of aggravated manslaughter and ended up serving 36 months behind bars. At number 3, we have Lacey Spears. Kentucky mom Lacey Spears was found guilty of second-degree murder in the death of her son Garnett Paul Spears after she allegedly force-fed heavy concentration of sodium through the boy's stomach tube.
Spears, a Rockland County mother charged with murdering her son by poisoning him with salt.
But Spears insists the hospital is to blame. 48 Hours' Troy Roberts has the only interview with the mother who says all she did was try to save her son's life.
I lost my 5-year-old son, and I'm very saddened that I'll never get to watch him grow up.
How did your son die?
His death certificate says homicide.
Much of Garnett Spears' young life was spent seeking medical attention for often unexplained health issues.
He was in and out of the hospital for the first 9 weeks of his life. And the biggest problem we had was we couldn't get him to eat, so he was losing weight.
Garnett had surgery at 9 months old to insert a feeding tube.
They were hopeful that within time he wouldn't have so much problems eating.
In January 2014, 5-year-old Garnett was taken again to a hospital. He was admitted with seizure-like symptoms. Later during that hospital stay, Garnett is in distress, stops breathing, and tests showed high levels of sodium, which caused his brain to swell.
This is my 5-year-old son on life support.
2 days later, Garnett is officially declared dead. Doctors could not figure out how Garnett's sodium level had gotten so high unless someone had given him salt. 5 months after Garnett's death, Lacey Spears was charged with murder.
I didn't kill my son. I never poisoned him with salt.
Then why is his sodium level so high?
You would have to ask the hospital that.
The judge who sentenced Spears to 20 years behind bars says she suffers from mental illness, but that killing her child with an overdose of salt was still unfathomable in its cruelty. At number 4, we had Diane Downs. In 1983, Diane Downs murdered her daughter and shot her other 2 children, and then told the police that a stranger had attempted to carjack her and shot the kids.
Stretch of Old Mohawk Road east of Eugene. A 28-year-old woman and her 3 small children were brutally shot. Elizabeth Diane Downs says the family was on a sightseeing trip when a shaggy-haired stranger flagged her down and demanded her car. She refused, and the assailant shot Downs and her children at close range with a .22 caliber gun. 9-year-old Christy was shot first, through the hand into the chest as she tried to protect herself. 3-year-old Danny was shot in the back and is now paralyzed from the waist down. 7-year-old Cheryl was shot twice from behind and died on the way to the hospital. Police searched the brush and nearby river looking for the murder weapon. The gun was never found, and neither was the shaggy-haired stranger. Police started suspecting Downs as the culprit. The prosecution claims her obsessive love for an ex-boyfriend in Arizona was her motive. The state says Downs felt her children were getting in the way and preventing a romantic relationship with that former boyfriend.
And I know that my daughter didn't do it.
I have been through that night so many times. I've even been through it with my psychologist. It's very hard, it's very tearful. There are a lot of memories that, I don't know. A lot of people, when something traumatic happens to them, they suppress it immediately. I kept those memories because I knew that I was the only person that was going to be able to tell them what happened when we got to the hospital. And when I got there, the first thing I said was call the doctors. Second thing was the blood type. Third thing was call the cops because they've got to find him. And so I had to remember as much as I could remember. When this man shot my daughter, my first reaction was to snap back to my childhood, to the pain that had happened to me back then, my marriage, my entrapment by society. This man was bigger than me. He was stronger than me. He had more power because he had a gun. He was in control and I was not. And there was nothing I could do. And I stood there and I looked at Christy reaching, and the blood that just kept gushing out of her mouth. What do you do? You just stand there trapped. And then the gun kept firing and firing and firing. And it was monotonous. It just kept going. It was like a slow motion picture. And then he swung around towards me, and this is something that I did not recall when I was explaining to the cops, because it wasn't like a movie when I was telling them. I was telling them what happened, the important details. He shot my kids, I pushed him, I ran. And when he swung around, he was pointing, when he swung around, it hit the tips of my fingers. The gun hit the tips of my fingers, and that snapped me. And I went, wait a minute. I'm not trapped by society. I don't care if he is bigger. If I stand here and I say, yeah, here, take the keys. I mean, there's nothing I can do. You win because you have the gun. My kids are going to die. And I'm not going to let my kids die. And so instead of giving him the keys, I feigned throwing the keys. He did not take time to point the gun and shoot me, obviously, because he would have shot me the same way he did the kids. When he was swinging in the direction of the keys, firing the gun, he hit my arm. Everybody says, you sure were lucky. Well, I don't feel very lucky. I couldn't tie my damn shoes for about 2 months. It is very painful. It is still painful. I have a steel plate on my arm. I will for 1.5 years. The scar is going to be there forever. I'm going to remember that night for the rest of my life, whether I want to or not. I don't think I was very lucky. I think my kids were lucky. If I had been shot the way they were, we all would have died, except maybe Danny.
What haunts you the most about that night?
What do I see most is blood coming out of Christy's mouth, because that's what I see. I can't see Danny, and I can't see Cher. Sherry was laying on the floor, and driving to the hospital, I don't know the sounds that were made at the initial shooting because I was on the outside, and all I could hear, I can't hear anything but gunshots. And I can see things, you know, that's it. Driving to the hospital, I can smell blood. I can not hear Cheryl. Cheryl's not making a sound. Danny is just crying real soft. So that sound stays in my mind, and the fact that Christy's choking, and then I'm yelling at her, I'm screaming at her to roll over on her.
During the trial in 1984, it emerged that Downs' motivation, at least in part, was the fact that she was dating a married man who did not want kids. Downs was sentenced to life in prison. At number 5, we have China Arnold. Sometimes filicide occurs when a mother wants revenge on a spouse or a partner. In 2005, China Arnold of Dayton, Ohio, stuffed her 3-week-old daughter in a microwave oven and burned her to death after arguing with her boyfriend about the identity of the child's biological father. At number 6, we have Andrea Yates. Andrea Yates is the Texas mom who was suffering from severe postpartum psychosis in 2001 when she drew a bath and drowned her 5 children one by one. Her brother told reporters that Yates believed that drowning her children was the best due to her being a bad mom. All these cases serves as a reminder on how mental illness and selfishness can drive a woman to kill her own children. That's all we had for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button for more content to come. Goodbye.